In 1975, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi declared a state of emergency in India, stripping citizens of their fundamental rights for 2 years.
भाइयों और बहनों, राष्ट्रपति जी ने आपातकाल की घोषणा की है.
This controversial decision is seen as a dark chapter in India's democracy. But why did she do it? And where did she get the idea? On June 24, 1975, the Supreme Court of India upheld a decision by the Allahabad High Court to cancel Indira Gandhi's membership in Parliament. While she could stay on as Prime Minister, she couldn't vote or participate in Parliament. This sparked a massive opposition rally at Delhi's Ramleela Maidan, where leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan and Morarji Desai called for her resignation and threatened a nationwide satyagraha if she did not step down. Late that night, the police began arresting opposition leaders. Jayaprakash Narayan was taken from Gandhi Shanti Pratishtha, and Raj Narayan was arrested at his home. They were detained under the Maintenance of Internal Security Act, also known as MISA of 1971. By the morning of June 25th, the country woke up to find that an emergency had been imposed and all fundamental rights were suspended. But who was Raj Narayan, and how did his actions lead to the emergency? The roots of the emergency lie in the long-standing conflict between Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and the judiciary. In 1969, the Congress Party, led by Indira Gandhi, decided to nationalize 14 private banks. This meant the government would take ownership of these banks. Business leaders like J.R.D. Tata and other investors opposed this move, fearing for their investments. Indira Gandhi argued that nationalizing the banks would allow them to serve the entire nation better. On July 18, 1969, the government passed the nationalization bill through an ordinance. However, R.C. Cooper, a shareholder of the Central Bank of India, challenged this in the Supreme Court. The court ruled that the nationalization was discriminatory and unfair to the shareholders, rejecting the government's ordinance. This marked the beginning of a serious conflict between Indira Gandhi's government and the judiciary. A few years later, another similar issue arose regarding privy purses, payments made to the royal families of India's princely states. These payments were part of the agreement when these states joined the Indian Union at independence. The royal families of India were promised payments known as privy purses when their states joined the Union of India. Indira Gandhi opposed these payments, so her government introduced a bill to abolish them. When the bill failed in the Rajya Sabha, her government issued an ordinance to abolish privy purses, but the Supreme Court overturned this decision. In response, the government amended the constitution to nullify the Supreme Court's ruling. In the 1971 Lok Sabha elections, Indira Gandhi and her party won a decisive majority, making her a very powerful prime minister. She centralized power, often choosing chief ministers and cabinet ministers based on their loyalty to her. That same year, a war with Pakistan further strained India's economy, leading to high inflation. Corruption became rampant within the Congress Party, and even Indira Gandhi's principal secretary acknowledged this. State governments were also mired in corruption. In 1974, Gujarat's Chief Minister Chimanbhai Patel was involved in a scam and earned the nickname Chiman Chor, Chiman the Thief. In Gujarat, people took to the streets in a movement called the Nav-Nirman movement. In Bihar, students led by Jayaprakash Narayan participated in a similar movement. Non-violent protests against the Congress government spread, and over 1.7 million workers went on strike, making it the largest industrial strike in the world at that time. Despite a year of protests, Indira Gandhi remained firm. She claimed the movements were anti-national and foreign-funded, aimed at ending democracy. By 1975, tensions were at a peak. In March 1975, another major blow came for Indira Gandhi. The Allahabad High Court had been hearing a case against her for 2 years, setting the stage for dramatic changes in the country. This case was filed by Raj Narayan, a socialist leader who ran against Indira Gandhi in the 1971 elections in Rai Bareilly. Raj Narayan, also a freedom fighter, is best known for this case against Indira Gandhi. He claimed she had won the election through unfair means and ballot manipulation. Among the 14 charges, one was that her election agent, Yashpal Kapoor, was a government employee at the time. The High Court ruled in favour of Raj Narain, declaring Indira Gandhi's Lok Sabha seat invalid, removing her from Parliament. She appealed to the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court did not stay the High Court's decision, leading to the cancellation of her membership in Parliament. I had already told you about what happened on the day the verdict was announced, but there's more to the story. On the night of June 24th, Indira Gandhi consulted with her ministers. Acting on their advice, she sent a note to President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, asking him to declare an internal emergency in the country. The reason given was internal disturbance. According to Article 352 of the Indian Constitution, the President can declare an emergency if India's security is threatened by war, external aggression, or internal rebellion. Using this provision, the emergency was declared. That night, the government cut off power to newspaper offices in Delhi to prevent the printing of newspapers. The next morning, Indira Gandhi announced the emergency on the radio herself.
भाइयों और बहनों, राष्ट्रपति जी ने आपातकाल की घोषणा की है। इससे आतंकित होने का कोई कारण नहीं है। आप सभी गहरे और व्यापक षड्यंत्र से अवगत होंगे जो उस समय से रचा जा रहा है जब से मैंने भारत के जनसाधारण के लाभ के लिए कुछ प्रगतिशील उपाय करने शुरू किए।
The fundamental rights of the people were taken away, and those who protested were arrested. Over 100,000 innocent people were detained. Not only opposition leaders, but even Congress leaders who spoke against the emergency and opposed Indira Gandhi were forced to resign and were arrested later. One of the most horrific actions during the emergency was forced sterilization, carried out in the name of population control. You might be surprised to know that 1975 wasn't the first time an emergency was declared in India. Emergencies were also declared during the 1962 Indochina War and the 1971 India-Pakistan War. However, the 1975 emergency was different because it wasn't due to a war or any external threat. This is the story of how the 1975 emergency was imposed in India, a terrifying chapter in the history of Indian democracy. What did you think of the story? Please comment and let us know. Don't forget to like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for such more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.